Okay. Now I'm not sure what the term obese means. I guess they define it a little bit here about body mass index, which is a ratio between your height and your weight, or 30 pounds overweight. Okay. Look what happens in 2000. It's in the red states. So it's kind of spreading, right? Let's see if we have another one. Nope. We don't have anything since then, but I can guarantee you it's expanded since then. So 55% of Americans are overweight, with 22% being obese, which is body mass index greater than 30 kilograms divided by millimeters squared. I'm going to show you some of their calculations for that. And 1.5 million Americans have extreme obesity, body mass index greater than 40. That's a lot. So underweight is less than 18.5. Normal weight, 18.5 to 24. And if any of you have a calculator, you can write down these formulas and figure out what yours is. Overweight, 25 to 29. Obesity, body mass index 30 or greater. I'm going to bet you that probably about 70% of you are in this 30 or greater. All right? These are the different calculations. I don't know if you can see them. The one that you relate to the most is the bottom one, which is weight in pounds times 4.88 divided by height squared divided by feet squared. Crazy formula. That's how they come up with it. Life expectancy decline. Over the next few decades, the life expectancy for the average American could decline by as much as 5 years. And that's what I mentioned when we first got started. The more sugar we introduce into our diet, the less years we have, for a lot of different reasons. One is that sugar in the body coats the cells. It makes them dysfunctional. So the proteins do not produce other proteins very well. The genes do not function well. Our neurotransmitters are down. The cells don't function well. And then the sugar that gets actually into the cells, let's say a person has borderline diabetes or diabetes, sugar actually goes inside the cells. So we have what's called a peripheral neuropathy that's occurred. The sugar goes inside the nerve cells and then grabs water into it, expands and kills the nerves. Starts out at the feet, climbs up, starts at the hands and climbs up. That's called a peripheral neuropathy. There are things we can do about it, very strong antioxidants that can help with that if anyone here has that. Anyone here have a peripheral neuropathy? One person? Okay, probably more. The other thing is when we're eating sugar, what happens is when the sugar is introduced into the body, and when I say sugar, I'm not talking about eating a bowl of sugar. I'm talking about grains, alcohol, dairy products, fruit, okay, things of that nature. Desserts, obviously. The sugar shoots up right away, okay? It's high glycemic. High glycemic means how fast does a food turn to sugar in your blood. Low glycemic are fats. You can eat a fat, but no sugar's there, right? So insulin stays down. That's our key. We want insulin to be low. That is the whole key to everything I'm going to say tonight. How do we keep our insulin low? If we eat something that is high glycemic, let's say we have a papaya or something like that, we're going to raise up our insulin to meet the sugar because the insulin's job is a storage hormone. That's what it does. It wants to drive that sugar into your cells for energy. The whole key to life is ATP. It's an energy source, and we use oxygen to get that. So what's the problem with insulin? It locks fat into the cells. When your insulin is up, you cannot burn fat. You can exercise all day, you cannot burn fat. Difficult. Also what happens, insulin is pro-inflammatory. We're finding every disease we know about is from inflammation now, including heart disease. You know, we always thought heart disease was just clogging of the arteries or something. Now they find that it is from inflammation that causes the cholesterol to oxidize and to create plaques and cause heart disease, heart attacks. So what do we want to do? We want to keep that insulin low. Remember insulin as the key. Now I'm driving that home to you because I might show you ways of eating and you go, well, okay, I'll try that. But unless you understand the science of this, it's not going to sink in why you're going to do it. Why do you think we love bread? It's a sugar rush. It's also very inflammatory because there are things in grains that inflame the body. How many people here have fibromyalgia? That's an eating disorder. You're going to probably hear me say this a lot of times about diseases. They're eating disorders. Not everything, but pretty much everything. Rheumatoid arthritis, eating disorder. Not enough omega-3s, too much inflammatory food. What do we do with someone with rheumatoid arthritis? Quiet that fire down, throw water on the fire. What is that water? Good nutrition, good supplementation. So as one's weight increases, so does the risk for many diseases linked to obesity, heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer. But I'm going to step out much further and say pretty much all disease. That's a pretty bold statement, but I think it's true. This is a study, see where it says JAMA, April 20, 2005, volume 293, page number 15, blah, blah, blah. So if anyone's interested, I can send you these slides. You can go look up these studies, or we can send them to you. We can track them down for you. What does it say? Estimated risks of mortality associated with different levels of body mass index. Underweight, this is unusual, underweight and obese, particularly high in levels of obesity, are associated with increased mortality, death. So being too skinny ain't too good either. And what do we get there with? A lot of people who come in who are bulimic or anorexic are in a terrible state of health. It's almost impossible to help them unless they have some kind of counseling with psychological counseling to get them back on track of learning how to love themselves and things like that, because no matter what you tell them and educate them, they think their body is too big. It's a very strange phenomenon. When they look in the mirror, they go, I'm fat. And I've had people come in, it's mainly women, but occasionally men, who are anorexic, and their bones are shot. I'll never be able to grow their bones back for them. It's just, by the age of 20 or so, they've got severe osteoporosis. They don't have periods because there's not enough good nutrition to build hormones. You need a lot of cholesterol, believe it or not, to build cells and to build hormones. Strange, right? Cholesterol is good. Not when it's super, super high, but the levels that doctors give you statin drugs for. Anyone here on a statin drug because of high cholesterol? I see 1, 2. Is that your hand up? 3, 4? Okay. I think it's the worst drug on the planet because it's, number one, it causes all kinds of mental disturbances, neurological disturbances. It can cause muscle pain. When it's severe, people get rhabdomyolysis where the muscles disintegrate, clog up the kidneys and cause kidney failure. So it's not a medicine I've ever once prescribed. When someone comes in the office, the first thing I do is I put them on a nutritional program and I have them get off that medicine. Now, how do I lower cholesterol? Same program, protein, vegetables, and water. What happens to the cholesterol? Way down. Triglycerides, way down. For people who are afraid to get off the medicine, I make them check their doctor all the time, because they're not going to need that medicine. Their cholesterol is going to go down to sub-zero levels when they do the nutrition. Here's another study. This is JAMA, also Journal of American Medical Association. Study finds it's similar to that of children with cancer. Okay, obesity. How can obesity be similar to cancer? Obese children and adolescents are more than 5 times more likely to have a poor health-related quality of life, the QOL, than healthy children. In fact, their risk for a lower quality of life is about equal to that of children undergoing chemotherapy. What does that tell you? It's terrible. And do we know that there's an epidemic in teenagers now for obesity? And what else? Type 2 diabetes in children. Epidemic now. What is going on? Processed foods. Oh, I love potato chips. I can have those, can't I?